Somebody's getting married. Somebody's getting married. The cat is out of the bag. Hello, Joshua. So I was, well, you don't need to know where I was sitting, but it's not far from the place where I take showers. And you didn't need to know that either, but I was sitting down and I was looking at my phone and I found this beautiful video in which our dear tie-dye guru Joshua is going down on his knees to propose to Lucy for marriage in some beach. I forget what beach it was, but congratulations! Oh my God, that is so sweet. That was a great way to start the day. Mazel tov, mazel tov. That's all I'm going to say. Yes, that is just so wonderful. I love days in which the news make me smile, and I love days in which I get together with you, which is Monday through Saturday. Good morning, everyone. This is Coffee and Headlines, where the news are, well, today the news are food for thoughty, if there is such a thing as food for thought news or food for thoughty news. But we have a little bit of everything. This is, of course, Coffee and Headlines, where we take a look at news from our city, state, and country. We clear the sweat with our coasters because it's another hot day, and where we take a look at your comments and your ideas and your suggestions. And I'm just so giddy because there's so many good vibes floating in the air today that I can't wait to share everything that I want to share with you today. And there's Lucy. Oh my goodness. Wedding. I am so excited. Happy people, like meeting each other and discovering each other and supporting each other. It is just too freaking awesome. I am beside myself. But this has not a lot to do with the news that I have to share today. Today, we have all kinds of interesting news that make me think, and maybe will make you think about this place we call paradise and how much we know about it and how much we care about it and how much we really care about it when it comes down to it. But before we go there, as always, if you are watching live, yes, I will have a report on Muffin David. Don't worry. Notice how David has added a capital letter Q at the top of his comment, which helps me appreciate that this is a question for me or something that I am to bring up. So feel free to chat all you want, but if you have something that you're hoping I will take a look at, it helps a great deal if you add a capital letter Q at the beginning of your comment. Yes, the Muffin Report is coming up later on today. And also, if you're watching live for the first time and you would like a little welcome, it helps a great deal if you add the word new at the beginning of your comment. With that said, I think we can safely get started with the news. And let me get rid of this black screen to give you a little bit of a story about what happens when the city fails to deliver, or otherwise known as no good deed goes unpunished. This is a story of a little colonia that is located out in the outskirts of Puerto Vallarta. You can see it up here in the upper right hand corner of the image. This is called Colonia El Progreso. It's a small neighborhood in Puerto Vallarta, but perhaps far away from where many of us spend our time. Well, there is an elementary school in this colonia, and the main street, which is called Eberto Castillo, has been paved by the city. And this is, of course, excellent news. Unfortunately, whenever it rains, gravel and dirt that is dragged by the current from the nearby hill in the back of this photograph accumulates along the street. And it accumulates so much that it has created potholes over the otherwise intact pavement of the street. So there is a young man in the neighborhood that has taken it upon himself to keep the street clean by shoveling the debris. And the debris, of course, has accumulated on one side of the street, as you can see. And there is a school right there. There's a kindergarten and there's an elementary school right there. And now the residents of this neighborhood are hoping that the city will come out and remove the accumulated debris before the next school season begins, because it could be, if it continues accumulating, and we're still halfway through the rain season, there could be a lot of dirt and debris that has accumulated, making it challenging for kids to get in and out of school. So I suppose there's a couple of reasons why I wanted to share this. And for me, this has everything to do with no good deed goes unpunished. On the one hand, the city has done a good deed by bringing pavement to this colonia. Maybe the city did not have enough of a foresight to anticipate that debris would continue to accumulate. Then you have a great Samaritan, a neighbor, that decided to take it upon himself and do something that the city is supposed to do, which is to clean the streets, and that deed didn't go unpunished either. I mean, the school is not complaining about the good deed, but clearly the dirt needs to be removed. And lastly, probably another one of the reasons why I share this, and we have two news items that have to do with this, is the location of the colonia. So far away from what many of us call paradise. But paradise is a big city. It's a huge city. And I just think it's interesting when the news remind us of this fact. And speaking of how large is the city, apparently some locals are complaining because A, they haven't spotted any of the 14 new trash collection trucks purchased by the local government, and B, because trash is not being collected in Colonia Educación. This is yet another small neighborhood. This one is not far from Plaza Galerías. So the question lingers, was the acquisition of 14 new trash collections not enough? Have the new trash collection trucks been put in circulation? And last but not least, is this knowledge important to you? See, this knowledge is important to me because I live here, and even though I cannot do much of anything about some of these things, I still want to know. But I am also wondering, and this is not being judgy or anything, I'm just wondering how many of you are sitting in your comfortable Emiliano Zapata condo or somewhere in Cinco de Diciembre or some of the more central colonias where this kind of thing is not as apparent, and you are probably thinking, well, why should I care about what's going on in the outskirts of Puerto Vallarta? And if you told me, Paco, we don't care about what's going on out there, just keep us entertained with what's going on in the colonias that most of us live, I would not hold that against you. But I am just wondering just how important it is to you to be reminded from time to time that Puerto Vallarta is a lot more than just this little heaven of English speaking paradise that many people rave about. I find it a responsibility to talk about these things, but again, I won't lose any sleep if you send me a note and say, Paco, focus on other things, because ultimately this is your community and I want to keep you informed with the things that matter to you. That's just something that I wanted to get off my chest. There's a couple of other food for thought things that I want to share with you, but first I want to let you know that in less provoking or thought-provoking news, the recently announced digital driver's licenses are now available for downloading. This and this article outlines the procedure. Well, I got all clumsy with my words. Let me start again. In less thought-provoking news, the recently announced digital driver's licenses are now available for downloading, and this article outlines the procedure and the website where you can do so. I need more coffee, can you tell? These licenses are available to iOS and Android device users through corresponding apps and are as legally valid as their physical counterparts. It is worth recalling that our state, the state of Jalisco, is the first in Mexico to implement digital licenses, and I think that is truly awesome. And in less important news, at least not yet, Mexico President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has revealed that he will meet with U.S. President Joe Biden and other mandataries in the upcoming Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation meeting that will take place in San Francisco between November 14 and 17. What is Mexico's president doing there? Well, apparently Biden invited him. The goal of the meeting is to discuss the strengthening of not only North America, which, by the way, comprises Canada, the United States, and Mexico, but the entire continent. Biden and López Obrador last met this past January, along with Canada's Justin Trudeau, during the North American Leaders Summit that took place in Mexico City. And those are the news, but I have a couple of public service announcements because these things come up in correspondence that I get from you, and I love getting messages from you. And the first one has to do with language. Yet somebody else asked me where they could find the news that we post in the show notes in English. Well, I appreciate that, and of course I would love to have the time that it requires to translate everything, but since the majority of people in Mexico speak Spanish, the majority of the news outlets that I consult publish their news in Spanish. So what can you do if when the summary that I provide is not enough and you're curious about other things? Well, you can rely on Google Translator, which will give you a working translation of the article, and this is something that you should be able to plug in from your web browser. I am sorry that the news are not published in English, but that's just the nature of the beast. And the second reminder that I want to offer, basically because a couple of people have recently said, more walking tours, please. If you go to our page at Buy Me a Coffee, you will notice that there is a commission tab here where you can actually support Coffee and Headlines by sponsoring either a walking tour in the neighborhood of your choice, or if you have a business that you would like to more people to get to know about, you can sponsor a show around in which I will go to your business and take a look at it and take photo and video and interview you and so forth and so on. So these are awesome ways in which you can get what you want and you can support Coffee and Headlines at the same time. And just as a reminder, I will leave those links in the show notes today. And here we are, of course, last but not least, here comes Hillary, the next tropical whatever. It's not even a tropical storm just yet, but it is growing, and everything seems to indicate that it's going to become a tropical storm, and then maybe it'll become a hurricane. But the people in the know, or in the think they know, are already forecasting heavy rain for the state in the days to come, or so they say. I'm never sure about these forecasts anymore. Let's see what Snarky Weather has to say about all this. And Snarky Weather says, oh my, who on earth is Grabthar? Because Snarky Weather says, by Grabthar's hammer, what a weather report. Well, I don't know who Grabthar is, but if you're called a Grabthar, I would certainly hope that you wear a sizable hammer. I mean, if that was my name, I would certainly hope that my hammer was, sizable. That's all I'm going to say. 31 degrees, feels like 37. Humidity is at 74%. Our temperature in Fahrenheit degrees is 87. I did it again. I knocked you out of the weather forecast. My apologies. Our weather forecast for today says mostly clear skies in the morning with thunderstorms in the afternoon, a chance of rain of 46%, a high of 33, and a low of 23. And then tomorrow, Thursday, rain in the morning with thunderstorms in the afternoon, a high of 32 and a low of 22, a chance of rain of 79%, so maybe Hillary is doing her job. And then on Friday, overcast skies in the morning with thunderstorms in the afternoon, a chance of rain of 80%, a high of 31 and a low of 22. I did go into Windy this morning to see the predicted path of this thing called Hillary. And yes, while it doesn't seem like it's going to land, it does seem to be following a path that goes closer to the coast. Now, continuing with our content for today, I want to start with a little story that I have been forgetting to share with you, and it has to do with the cover image that I shared yesterday after the broadcast. So over the weekend, I was going places with my dear friend Lars on his Lars Mobile, and we are on the Libramiento, and I was just so amused by seeing these two lovely ladies sitting on the back of a pickup truck, and they were just so happy. They were chit-chatting and laughing and just being adorable. And of course, we know this is a common sight in Mexico. I'm sure that that traffic cops in other countries and people might shriek at the thought of this. And I'm not saying that it should be done, and I'm not saying that it is safe. It is, of course, unsafe. But they seemed so happy. They were enjoying their Sunday. I just had to take a photograph, and there you have it. So that's why these two lovely ladies appeared on the cover of Coffee and Headlines yesterday. Next, of course, I want to tell you about my lovely visit with Muffin on the Mend. My dear Logan, I love you so much. See, I have to gush about Logan. I do it all the time, but what can I say? Logan is a sweet friend of mine, and he brings so much joy and love and empathy into my life. Of course, I am happy to spend time with him. So yesterday, Gina and I went and visited. We brought pizza, so we had a little bit of pizza together, and Logan will be fine. He will have to go through physical therapy, and he will have to go through, everything that one has to go through when you have an injury of that nature. But the part that my takeaway is the enormous amount of love and support that has poured his way. And he was quick to acknowledge the fact that he has not had an opportunity to acknowledge all the kind messages that he's received from friends and many people here from the cluster. But, he's going to be okay, because one of the wonderful things about living in Puerto Vallarta, if I may say so, is that when you are kind to people around you, when you take the time to develop a nurturing community for yourself, that community is there for you when you need it. I was so humbled to learn that our dear friend Carmen Porras from Oculto has volunteered to go walk Logan's two dogs early in the morning, and I think that is awesome. And other people are stepping in to lend a helping hand, and it just feels good to be part of a community that looks after its constituents. And I thought you would want to know. Of course, I'm anxious for Logan to go visit his doctor on Friday because I want to know when we can go to the movies. Because, of course, Logan and I love going to the Cinepolis VIP. And speaking of movies, the last thing that I want to share with you that has absolutely nothing to do with Puerto Vallarta but has me absolutely giddy is this. This is a photograph of Bradley Cooper, and I forget the name of the lady actor, but Bradley Cooper is starring is going to be the main star in a feature film where he portrays the late maestro Leonard Bernstein, and that would be his wife Felicia Montealegre. And of course, this is an amazing film that is coming to Netflix, and it's coming to some theaters as well. Being a musician, I am totally enamored by this subject matter. And then I went to learn a little bit about how did the project come about, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the last time that Bradley Cooper, who is an actor, the last time he directed something was when he directed that film, Star is Born, with Lady Gaga. And as I was doing some scooping and learning about the background of this project, I realized that Bradley Cooper has had a keen interest in not only being a conductor, but being a director. And at some point, Bradley Cooper was approached by Steven Spielberg, who said, I want to do a biopic on Leonard Bernstein, and I want you to star in it. And Cooper said yes, but then he started getting involved and invested in the project, and he realized, shit, I want to direct this myself, but I don't know how to say that to Steven Spielberg. So Steven Spielberg, apparently he invited Steven Spielberg to see a screening of his latest film, A Star is Born, and I read a story in which Spielberg gets out of the room where they are viewing the film, and Bradley Cooper goes like, shit, there goes my chance. And Spielberg had just gone to the restroom, I suppose, and he comes back and he says, you are fucking directing this movie. So this is a project dear to Bradley Cooper. He stars as Bernstein, and of course the film will also touch base on Leonard Bernstein's notorious and often not discussed bisexuality. You see, Bernstein had a fascinating relationship with his late wife, Felicia Montealegre. There are many letters that document that Felicia knew that Bernstein was bisexual, and somehow their relationship must have been very, very special for them to be able to nurture it with love, and for Leonard Bernstein to be able to have what he wanted or what he needed. So I'm excited about this. I am going to share you the link to the trailer in the show notes. I am hoping that you will be just as interested about this film as I am. And that, of course, brings us to our chit-chat section for today. Let me very quickly take a look at what's on your mind. And I see many good mornings, and I appreciate those. There's a cue. Hola, Paco and Cluster from stupidly hot Woodland Hills. You know, the ground could be moving and the brownie could kick in together. Well, yeah, that usually happens when I eat my brownies. They kick in, and then I'm more conscious of the weather. I don't know what to say. Albert, take a cold shower. And let's see. Earl says, yes, we have a new garbage truck. That's nice to know. It's nice to know that they're being deployed. Let's see what else we have here. Boom, 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 boom. We saw this earlier, and I think we've answered it. Muffin is is definitely mending well because he's surrounded by love, because he deserves to be surrounded by love. Yay. Um, let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Well, I didn't say that, but Muffin did. How? What? Muffin can poop. Well, as long as it's out in the open. Yes, Muffin had been a little bit concerned because his own seapal was not seapaling, but he was happy to report that his personal seapal is seapaling again. And I am suddenly reminded of what I went through when I hurt my shoulder. Remember that a couple of years ago? Uh, and I see a hallelujah. And I have no idea what this refers to, baby. But this is absolutely wonderful. Oh. Then I see your comment about my question about whether you care about the entire community. And I appreciate that the community and the city and the news are important to you. Again, this is not judgment on my part. I appreciate that there are many people that care about many things, and then there are a lot of people that don't give a shit about anything. Yin and yang, it's part of our balance. And the good news is that Puerto Vallarta and Banderas Bay has enough room for everybody. Isn't that wonderful? Let's see. There's a Q. Thank you. A while back, you did a survey of crunchy versus soggy regarding chilaquiles. Now that chiles en nogada are in season, maybe we should do a survey of capeado or not capeado. I'll start with I love both. Well, thank you very much for that. That is a great idea, Matthew. I think there's another survey to be made. We know, Mateo, that chiles en nogada are served from cold to room temperature, but some people don't like them cold to room temperature. And that's the traditional way to serve them. So maybe we could also have a survey to that effect. Anyhow, talking about chiles en nogada and all kinds of things that have to do with Mexico's independence are coming to Coffee and Headlines during the month of September, and of course are going to be part of one of my music appreciation presentations. So I think that is an excellent idea. We will certainly go there. Angelica asks, those digital licenses are good only if you already have a Mexican license, right? I don't think that I can get a new one without a previous Mexican one. The answer is correct. These are companion digital license to your Jalisco driver's license. You have a Jalisco driver's license, well, maybe not you specifically, but if you are an English-speaking local and you have a vehicle, it's probably not a bad idea to have your very own Mexican driver's license. And indeed, you need to have the Jalisco driver's license in order to be able to get the digital counterpart. Let's see what else. There's another cue from Mijal. In my opinion, those of us with privileged lives here need to remember that paradise is in the eye of the beholder. Always maintain awareness and compassion. Thank you very much for that, Mijal. That is my intention, to just make sure that we open our eyes to the broader reality of the city from time to time. All I can do is collect the information and put it out for those of you. So it will mean something to some of you. It will mean not so much to others, but it's nice to see all the positive comments that I'm reading. Thank you very much for that. Mateo comments on Bradley Cooper's Maestro. I think it's gonna be phenomenal. And then Christy has a big comment. I have to agree so much about the community we have and how supportive it is. I have had wonderful messages from our cluster as well, and it is just so nice to experience the love. FYI, all is proceeding as expected and is tolerable. Life would improve if the pain was gone, but oh well, still feel very fortunate. Love back to all. Christy, I am so happy to hear that you are mending, and I can't wait to see you in the fall. Um, let's see. I think we're done. Wow. What a fun broadcast. We are done with today. So, as always, I want to thank you for being a part of Coffee and Headlines, for contributing your wonderful comments and ideas and questions, and last but not least, for supporting our efforts. As you know, we are here because you make it happen. I hope you have a great Wednesday, and I hope to see you again soon. Hopefully, maybe even tomorrow. I'll be here. Have a good day.